Hello everyone and welcome to episode 16 of the Vinylmation Kingdom webcast. It is January the 3rd, 2015, so this is the first webcast of 2015 and we've kicked off with a huge Vinylmation week. Loads of new Vinymations have been released this week. Quite a surprise really, we didn't know what was going to come out on Friday. There was a few rumours on Thursday that there was a couple of new things coming, but we didn't really know, and this kind of sort of sets off 2015 and pretty much how we left it. We just don't know what's going on. Okay, so first off, let's kick off with the big new release online was we kicked off with the Yoda Eachez. Now this Eachez was released online at disneystore.com. It is limited edition size 2,500. It is Eachez number 2. The first one was last year's R2-D2. And what we've got here is there's a variant version which is like a ghost version of Yoda, and then we also have the standard Yoda figure here. Now they were released online. Now apparently, according to some of the people at D Street, they said it's online only. It's sold out in minutes, and it's I don't think it's going to be an online only figure, because a limited edition size 2,500 is a lot, and for it to sell out that quickly online with no announcement, nobody knew it was coming on. It literally, we refreshed the website and there it was. So I don't actually believe that it was a fully online one yet. I just don't think they would have sold that amount that quickly. So it might turn up in these streets at some point. I'm wondering whether or not it was a similar problem to what happened with the Pain and Panic thing from a few weeks ago, where it dropped online like before it was supposed to be in the shops. It wouldn't surprise me if this eventually ends up at these streets. If it was an online release, it did seem like there's no way that they sold all 2,500 online in a few minutes with no announcements beforehand, because it just wouldn't. I don't think enough people, and I don't think even enough people have said that they've ordered it, if that makes any sense. So there's the Yoda one. So I'm not entirely too sure what is going on with that one, but that's my sort of hint on that one. We also had some new releases. We had a new Eachez release. It was the Valentine's Day 2015 Eachez. The common figure is Mickey Mouse, and then the variant figure, the 1 in 10 chance, is the Minnie Mouse. So there's actually only 250 of the Minnie Mouse figure. They were released at both D Street and Walt Disney World and Disneyland. They weren't online, but that doesn't necessarily mean they won't turn up eventually. LE 2,500 is quite a lot, again, for these kind of lines. But this is what we're going to see a lot more of in 2015. The holiday Eachez, like Easter, etc., they're all going to be Eachez, but they're all tied into that calendar that was released for this year. So that is the theme for this year. The next one's going to be St. Patrick's Day. We don't really know which ones are going to be done after that. And then also released at D Street in Walt Disney World and Disneyland was the new Pirates of the Caribbean Mickey and Friends series. This is a combo topper set. So it has a pirate Mickey Mouse on the top, and underneath you have 4 designs, which you can see on the screen there. You have Pluto, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Stitch. So very similar to the Toppery series from last year and the Haunted Mansion one, but this year there's only one topper compared to the Haunted Mansion one. Again, not online. It wouldn't surprise me if they pop up online at some point as well. It's going to be pretty popular. I'm not entirely sure if there'll be instant sellouts. The Haunted Mansion Mickey and Friends ones went to the outlets very, very quickly last year. I do think the combo topper, this conceal and reveal idea, is great in some ways, because you know which figure you're going to get on the top. But if you're after the set of 4, that means you're having to buy at least 3 additional figures that you don't need. So if you're only after that pirate, this one's going to be very easy for you to get, because people are going to be selling off loads. I have managed, I had one of them picked up along with the new Valentine's figures this weekend, so I'll have that one soon enough. So that's all pretty good. Also released at D Street and Walt Disney World were the 2015 Eachez. They were released online a week or 2 ago. They're now out at the parks. They're going to be available throughout the year. They're limited release, which just basically means they can just keep churning them out until they decide they don't want them anymore. Lots of Eachez. So that's there. We also have the information of the UK release last week of the 101 Dalmatians has meant that we got basically we found out the chaser, it was Patch. So big thank you to Lucy from the UK Vinylmation group for sending me that picture there. I did get a couple of blind boxes of these. It's up on the YouTube channel of me opening them up. There's still no official date on the US release. I'm expecting them just literally to drop off online or on the Monday, because that's the usual date is Mondays for Disney Store products. The response so far has been a bit lackluster. It's not been a set that's kind of grabbed a lot of people's attentions. I don't know if whatever it is, maybe it's that they've seen too many figures of these in the past, but it'll be interesting to see when they actually release how people react to them. But so far, it's not been 100% sort of positive on that series, which is a shame. They do look alright, but I've got to admit personally, they're not a set that I'm that excited about. This pretty much brings me on to a bit of a rant really on this week. This week was, in all honesty, was a mess for new releases. For a lot of collectors, they like to plan, they like to work out what they want to do, what they're gonna buy. And this week we had one online release which wasn't announced at all, which nobody knew about, and it wasn't at the parks. You've then had two releases that were at the parks but not online. It's sending off confusing messages. People don't know what's going on. If you're a park collector, that's great, because you can just go along to the park every Friday and find out what's got released. But that's not really a great way of, it's great to bring people into the park, but it's not really allowing people a lot of forward planning. If you're away from the parks, and there's a huge amount of collectors that are not at the parks that rely on DisneyStore.com, etc., they can't order, and if they don't know it's online, they've got to make sure that they're up really early to make sure they can get online to buy them anyway, because the ratios for what they're putting online seem to be very, very small. The fact that things sell out in minutes is showing everyone that there's not enough being put online, especially when they end up going to outlets months later in the stores, because they haven't put enough on originally to get people to get hold of. This week is a perfect example of it's, some people might argue, well, it's great, people can't flip them because they don't know they're coming out, and it's exciting, and we don't know about blind boxes and stuff. That's all very fine, and I understand that concept. And, if Yoda popped up online and at these streets without being announced, I don't have a major problem with that, because it's a single blind box release. But what I'm talking about is this weekend is we've had 2 Eaches, we've then had a combo set topper. So if I wanted to go, okay, I want to buy all of this week, that's $150. That is a lot of money to just suddenly find. I've brought a couple of blind boxes this weekend. This is unexpected. I didn't know they were coming out. Therefore, I had to, some people might go, I can't afford it, this one. And that's what I'm worried about with collectors is, for example, the 101 Dalmatian set 2 weeks ago was another perfect example of what happens when a whole series just drops unannounced. There's only a certain amount of people that are going to go, yeah, I'll go buy that, because make that impulse purchase to go buy a case or a set. Now, and I think that is the problem that will come forward, specifically with those big blind boxes. Like if next Monday or next Friday they decide to release Star Wars Series 5, a set of 12 figures, I'm not being funny, but I actually can't afford that this next week. I haven't planned for it. I can't. But if I know that they're coming out in May, then I can plan for that. And I do think this is a thing that Disney, in general, for it's not just Vinylmations, it's with lots of other collectibles. So it's not just purely about Vinylmation. Just Disney as a whole at the minute don't seem to be wanting to spend any time or effort promoting new products. It's just like chuck it out on the shelves and hope that everyone buys it. And it's, there's one thing, like I said, to buy a single figure. I'm not too worried about, if the Valentine's Eachez popped up this week unannounced, not a big issue. People, $15, you can make that sort of off the cuff purchase. But when it comes to these big blind box series, this is not going to work in the long run. Of people, is Cinderella set coming out next month, or is it coming out in July? People need to be able to plan for those bigger purchases, and I think Disney are, making a mistake with that. Here we are. It's the the first weekend of January, and we officially do not know of a single release for the entire year. Now that is very frustrating for a lot of collectors. They don't know what's coming out. And I know there's a lot of collectors go, oh, it's great. I don't know what's coming. It's all exciting and it's nice, and it's all just a surprise of what's well. If you have to get up at 3:30 in the morning to see what's online and they've sold out or something, that's not going to keep collectors long term. It's all very fine for the local park collectors. They pretty much they're still being looked after, and they can still make that choice. But I do think that some of these announcements they need to be a little bit more forward planning, because this is going to cause problems in the long run. You only have to have too many people getting up at 3:30 in the morning in the US time, or whatever time DisneyStore.com updates in your time zone, for things are selling out, or and having there are some fantastic collectors near the parks that will pick things up and send them on, but that's only going to go so far, and people are only going to put up with that for so much longer if people can't get hold of them. Disney Store have stopped selling a lot of Vinylmations because of the problems that they had, which makes sense, but it seems like it has come back way too much to the other side, and I do worry that Vinylmation's going to lose a lot of specifically collectors that aren't near the parks. Again, the park collectors, they're one side of things that are a great source, and they're very enthusiastic about Vinylmations, and that's fantastic. But that's the thing of, there has always been, and I think there always will be, a very much distinctive. There's going to be two camps in Vinylmation collecting: local park collectors and non-locals. And at the minute, it's way too heavily skewed on the one side. And some people might argue, well, that's how Vinylmation started. It was a park product. That's fine, park product. I agree with that, and I like the idea that it's a little bit more exclusive and a little bit harder to get. But I do worry that they've maybe gone too much the other way, where they're starting to make it way too hard because people don't know what's coming out, and I think that's a major problem there. And I'd love to know what you think. Remember, you can comment below, comment on our Facebook group, etc. But I'd love to know what you guys think of this overall impression. And like I said, it's not just Vinylmation, so this is the big thing. They're doing it to pins, they're doing it to Zoom Zooms, they're doing it to all kinds of different collectibles. They're just chucking them out on the shelves, and they're not really announcing anything. Disney Store have always been notoriously bad for announcing new products anyway. It can be a bit lazy, but there's, like I said, it's not just Vinylmation, it's affecting lots of other things. But I think, thinking that we don't know any release dates is slightly worrying. There is, up on the Vinylmation Kingdom website, there is a list of all the new products that are coming out on our release schedule, and so that there is new sets coming up, so you can give a rough idea of what's going to be coming out, but we're not going to know specific dates. Like I said, 2015 is going to be a big year for us. We are working on lots of different bits and pieces and trying to improve things and trying to make things better. And so the first thing I wanted to do was kick off with basically some information about a competition that I'm running. Basically, I'm giving away a $25 gift certificate for DisneyStore.com. This can be used on Vinylmations, Disney Infinity, Zoom Zooms, any kind of Disney product. If you want that Olaf hat that you want. So now we hit 1,000 subscribers. I decided to do, as a bit of a milestone for the channel, was to give another $25 away. Going to be running that until the end of January. So I'm going to give it a little bit of time on it. There's basically a video that we put the competition up on, and all you have to do is be subscribed and comment with what you want to buy. So do it on that video then, not the actual webcast video. But if you haven't already done so, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you're on iTunes as well, you can subscribe, or Stitcher, whichever way you're listening to the audio version, you can also subscribe to there. Remember to check us out at VinylmationKingdom.com. And we have all the other little social media stuff like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram if you want to keep track of all the latest Vinylmation news. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope everyone had a fantastic Christmas and New Year. Now we can kind of get back into the normal routine. As the Christmas tree's gone, I've no longer got piles and piles of pine needles everywhere getting into my feet. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'd love to know what you think about all of this week's new releases and the overall everything with these release schedules. And I shall see you guys next week.